sometimes a West Ham story breaks and I think, I'm going to do that as a video. That will be tomorrow's video. I sometimes think that. I sometimes forget. Other stuff happens, things get in the way. And in this particular subject, the news sort of landed slap bang in between an England semi-final and an England final, which are two rarities. There were other things to talk about, namely the England being in the semi-final and in the final of the Euros. And I just forgot about it. So I've got to thank Zaim for reminding me. Myself and Geo just this morning, we did a live mug of tea. So this week's mug of tea on Patreon. And during it, Zaim popped up the question, and not even popped the question, didn't ask me to marry him, of course, but he popped up the question, and he said, what do we think of Rob Newman? Now, who's Rob Newman, I hear you ask? Maybe you don't, maybe you know, because this is relatively week-old news, really, relatively old news. Rob Newman is our new, I don't know what he is, head of recruitment, sporting director, head of scouting. I don't know what the official title is, and realistically, he's not actually officially here. He's been put on gardening leave by Manchester City. So what I've done is, because I thought it was quite an interesting topic, I meant to do anyway, is I'm going to chop out the bit out of the mug of tea where myself and Geo are discussing exactly this. But before I do, this is the scouting overhaul that we were promised. And we were promised it a long time ago, really. I think if you go back to the pitch invasions, Burnley pitch invasions, and then I believe we played Wolves shortly afterwards. And on the morning of that game, I think it was Wolves, I remember being down the boats and David Sullivan had done an interview with somebody or other. My memory's sketchy on this. But he said he was going to overhaul the scouting department. He said he was going to make a video analysis room and so on and so forth. These are all things that other clubs have, by the way, and I think it really culminated from my own memory of it with the fact that none of that happened. And I remember doing a video. West Ham had one scout, and at the point I remember seeing an advert that West Ham were advertising for a volunteer scout, and it felt like a real low in terms of West Ham. It felt like a real low in terms of how amateurish our makeup felt. The makeup of our club felt. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole story in detail. Again, you all know it. Pellegrini came in. He selected the director of football. That director of football was Huselos. They then appointed their sons, Jose Pellegrini. I joke that it's Jose Huselos. I don't know. They both appointed their sons. When they were given the boot, they hadn't archived any of their scouting, any of their analysis, any of the feedback that they'd had on any players. They hadn't archived it. It wasn't on a database. It wasn't a computer system. I think it was basically like that, under the arm, and off they went. David Moyes came in for his second stint, said, where's all the scouting reports? Transfer windows upon us, we need to bring some players in. And David Moyes was told the cupboard was bare. At that point, David Moyes decided, this is a shambles. I'm going to have to overhaul the whole thing. And what we're talking about with Rob Newman is, this is very much him starting. This is very much part of it. Now, as I understand it, just to give you some context, because when we speak in the video, I'm going to play the clip in a minute, I'm working on the assumption that everybody knows the information. Just in case you don't know, we've appointed him. We want to appoint him. Manchester City have put him on gardening leave, so he can't give us any of their dossiers or anything like that. That's their intellectual property, if you like it. But when Huselos left us, they didn't leave us with our intellectual property. So we're starting from scratch. We're starting from rock bottom. We're almost like a club starting from the beginning, I think, in many respects. So anyway, hopefully you enjoy what we've got to say. Have you got your own opinions about it? Please do leave the comments below. Thanks yesterday for everybody that said end of. I just appreciate that, everybody joining in. Yeah, here we go.
Right, last thing, then we'll disappear. Zaim says, what do you make of Rob Newman, the new head of recruitment, not joining up till January? Is it an excuse for Sullivan Brady shift the blame again if we have a quiet summer?
Too conspiratorial to believe that, and it's a really good subject, Zaim, actually. We'd have to almost believe that Golden Sullivan have encouraged Man City to put him on gardening leave. It's all so tenuous. I think there's loads of reasons to beat up on Golden Sullivan. This probably isn't one of them. This is just Man City putting someone on gardening leave because so as he can't do what Huselos and Jose Pellegrini did, which is walk off with all the data under his arm. They're going to wait until this transfer window's done, so as this guy can't walk away from Man City. And I say that he's not going to have it all tucked under. Well, let's be washboard. He's not going to have it tucked under his arm, but he will know 20 targets that Man City have got in his head. So it's intellectual property, isn't it? So no, look, it's more likely that the City put him on gardening leave. They can afford to do so than some scheme by Golden Sullivan to put him off so they don't. So it's so tenuous. I don't think they care that much. If they didn't want to sign anyone, they just wouldn't sign anyone. They wouldn't make up some story which would be verified by Man City. So no, don't think so on that one. But I'm glad you brought it up because I did mean to talk about that actually. I think it's quite exciting news that he's coming in.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same. I don't read too much into it, and I don't know if he's not joining until January. I think the wording is he can't impact West Ham until January when that window opens. He's not going to do anything in the summer, so it's going to be January until, at the very earliest, we see his impact, his players coming in. Even then, we might not see it in January because A, we don't usually spend much money in January, and B, depends where we are in the league. If we're sitting mid-table, we're not going to spend money to go from 10th to 8th, are we? So I don't even think we'd see Rob Newman bringing his portfolio until next summer. I wouldn't be judging this guy, whoever he is. You'll judge his signings next summer. But I don't think I always think you can't judge a head of recruitment or transfers in general until a year later anyway. So the players have had a year to get used to the club, to settle in. Then the second season, you have a proper look at them. So I think if Rob Newman joins the 1st of September, transfer window shot, he joins on the 1st of September 2021, I don't think you can really judge his success at the club until September 2023. I think you've got to give him 2 years at least to get in. You've got to get him in, get him used to the manager, identify his players, get the players in, let the players settle. And then you judge what he's doing and stuff, because I don't know how long he's been at Man City for. That's something we can have a look at, because I know he was only he was head scout there. But there is a massive difference between being a scout for Man City when you've got a budget of 60 million and then being a head of recruitment at West Ham when you've got a budget of 6 million. Some would argue it's almost like an easy job being a scout at Man City, isn't it? It's not difficult. Like, look at the best players in the world and go, well, there you go. I think he'll do a job for you.
There's a bloke called Fatty at Barcelona. He's quite good. Let's try and sign him.
Pep says, I need a new striker. Yeah, let me have a look. Right, Pep, I've spent a week looking at, here's your 3 options. You've got Lukaku, Harry Kane, and Haaland. Any of them tickle your fancy? You spent quite a while going through the players.
Yeah. Whereas your son's wish list on FIFA would be exactly the same. No scouting involved. But you know what? It's a step in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction of a more professional recruitment setup, which is really what we needed. And I like his credentials. I like what he's done. I like where he's come from. I like the fact that we're able to attract somebody, and maybe he is I just wonder if we've gone to him and we've said, you know what, this is our issue. We just basically, the cupboard is bare, we're starting from scratch, we need to overhaul it. He's probably being almost promoted from the role he was doing at Man City, where there were just so many people doing under that umbrella there. I just wonder if it appealed to him being said that come down to West Ham, help us build something, help us build a recruitment department. We're moving forward, and just as a project, you might think, actually, do you know what? I wouldn't mind being a big fish in a small pond there, rather than one of the, whatever.
That's what I was going to say. The big fish in a small pond, but also it's a new challenge for him, isn't it? Like, he's in charge now, but also there must be a satisfaction. I can only imagine if you are head of recruitment or a scout, your job satisfaction must come from finding someone for a few million quid that goes on to be worth big money. When I did that interview with Jed Searson, you could tell how happy he was that he spotted Saeed Benrahma when he was 2 million. He's very quick to say, I spotted Saeed Benrahma. I seen him, 2 million. We all do it. We see a player we like, and 2 years later he's making it big time for a club. We say, I remember liking him a few years ago. So as a head of recruitment or a scout, your utmost job satisfaction must be finding someone for a handful of million quid and then watching them turn into someone worth 10, 20, 30 million. Whoever found Souček, Jordan Miles?
Yes.
Jordan Miles.
He's only 12.
I bet you he is buzzing about Thomas Souček. I'm the one that found him for 16 million. Now look at him, worth 50 million, captain of Czech Republic. I found him.
He tells the story all the time. That's his story, Jordan Miles. I bet when he turns around his friends, did you know that I actually found Jordan, Thomas Souček? I bet all his mates, Jordan, not. Yes, we know. It's like Uncle Albert in Only Fools and Horses talking about the war. Just stop talking about it, Jordan, okay? Find someone else. You can't keep dining out on a Thomas Souček story. And that was a clip from our mug of tea, where obviously you're not discussing, you just watched it. The mug of tea is on our Patreon. We've got a lot of content coming up this forthcoming season, largely because West Ham are in Europe. So we're going to have, extra previews, extra reviews, loads and loads of extra stuff, which means we're not going to have an awful lot of time for cups of tea, in all honesty. So we'll be doing sort of mugs of tea over on Patreon. To be fair, you're not losing any content on the free sites. Far from it. You're actually going to be getting more because West Ham are in Europe anyway. So we're probably going to do more mugs of tea on Patreon. The links, if you want to subscribe to Patreon, you get the mugs of tea. I mean, you get all sorts. You get opposition previews, which Geo does, mugs of tea, player ratings. You get Charlie and Ray do an excellent podcast on there as well. Discounts in our shop, which is opening really, really soon. There's a lot of stuff, and you are also just supporting Hammers Chat in our quest to do this as our full-time job. The mug of tea is, if I've got this right, is for the mild addicts and upwards. If you'd like to join and follow Hammers Hammers Sweat. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. If you'd like to follow Hammers Chat on Patreon, the link's in the description below. It's Patreon/Hammers Chat, and there's 4 different tiers, 4 different things, tariffs, if you like. Anyway, thanks for watching that. Please do give me your opinion below. You can say end of at the end if you want.